Yeah, sorry.
Yaakov,
Yeah.
I know you're speaking for the Oilam, but we don't always have to have, a universal agreement on that statement.
Oh, okay.
Exactly. He was just trying to be nice.
He meant to say Roiv people who answered the survey. That's what he meant, Peretz.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so we did a little bit of down Chav Tesamad Aleph. Where did we get up to? Should we back it up a little bit? Oh, so we're trying to figure out the machlokes and the mission between Rabbi Yehuda and the Tana Kamma, right? Because in the Mishnah, we just go back. If you want to turn back, Rabbi Yehuda says that if you had kavana to put the thing outside, if you did have kavana to put it outside, meaning into the street, then you're chayev. If you didn't have kavana, then you're potter. So what exactly does that mean? All right, so what's the machlokes? So we left off yesterday by saying that there's actually two machlokes. They're chaylik on if it does damage when the thing is falling in the Rosh Hashanah, and they're having a machlokes if it does damage after it fell. Right? Yes, let's start from there. Pull back a few lines. 6 lines down. Chavtas and Aleph. 6 lines down. El Amar Abai, Betarti Pligi, they're having two machlokes, and Pligi b'shas nefila, or Pligi la'achar nefila, during the falling and after the falling. Pligi b'shas nefila b'niska pesheya. The machlokes if it damages while it's falling, or immediately after it fell, is whether somebody who trips, is he considered a pesheya or not? Marsav and niska pesheya. The Tana Kamma says he's a pesheya. Right? Clumsy. You're clumsy. So if somebody's clumsy and he trips, he's considered a pesheya and he's chayev. Marsav and niska la pesheya. And the other one holds that a niskal, if he trips, he's not a pesheya. Right? I can't understand the first sheet exactly. I mean, everybody's entitled to fall. No, you consider a pesheya. Yeah. Okay, but that's a machlokes. Let's see. So pligi lachar nefila b'mafker nechasav. So what does it mean? And they're arguing after the nefila. It's somewhere where the guy made his belongings hefker. Another thing that I don't understand. Right? The guy drops chveis. He spills water. No, water doesn't make a difference. He breaks some kalim, right, in Rosh Hashanah, and he's too lazy to clean it up. So he says, you know what? It's hefker. That's it. It's not my responsibility anymore. Marsavar mafkin is nizak chayiv. He makes his things that would damage. He makes it potter. He makes it hefker. So then it's chayiv. Marsavar potter, and the other one holds it's potter. Right? Yeah. So I'm saying, is that a rule across the board? I could just go put something in Rosh Hashanah and then say it's hefker, and everybody trips all over it, and then I'm potter. I mean, we're going to see more of it in tomorrow's daf, but that's what it sounds like according to him. Or somebody has a barrel, breaks in the middle of Rosh Hashanah, and he says, I'm not going to clean it up, and I'll just make it hefker.
And what, the next day he comes and he claims it again?
He could do that too, Mistama.
I'm saying, and then he's potter, and he actually gets to keep it.
Yeah. He waits till somebody cleans it off to the side, and then he claims it again, right? That's what it sounds like. Okay, we'll have to see more about that. So Gemara says, "We buy the Gatani Tarti," right? Because meaning, how do you know there's two machlokes? Because it says the Mishnah says two things. If a guy slips, he slips on the water, meaning the person, the damager, spilled water, and this guy slipped on it. Or he got damaged with the charsis, with the pottery, right? The Gemara says, "Hainu hach." What he's saying that there's two cases, but it's the same thing. The bottom line is somebody spilled something or left something with Rosh Hashanah, and they got damage from it. This is what it means. A guy slipped on the water when the water spilled, or he got damaged with the pieces of the earthenware after it fell down. When the masnisim betati,
As opposed to before?
what?
As opposed to before?
Correct, yeah.
Meaning before he spilled the water or before it broke? Of course not.
No. But meaning a guy slips on the water. That's right. Obviously, right after it spills, right? Meaning, and he didn't have time. Meaning it spilled. Like a Three Stooges. What should I tell you? I'm sorry to say, that's what we got to keep it. Maybe that's the reason for the Three Stooges, that they existed for this.
Meaning no one had time to clean it up.
Correct. The guy spills it, and then the guy comes right behind him and slips, and then becomes a whole thing. Right. That's the first case, and the charsis is that he had time. Right, and then he made it after.
Shmuel David, does Chad Gadya take 3 minutes or 45 minutes when you sing Chad Gadya Nagada?
For some reason, I think for most people it's 3 minutes.
It's 3 minutes, right? Exactly.
It certainly doesn't take me 45 minutes.
3 minutes, boom, 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 boom.
Right. Yeah. So that's what it. So that's how.
I think Rabbi, in your case, that's because you're running to the Vasikin minion.
I did that once. It was one of the big mistakes of my life. I went there one time.
That's why I said the joke.
Yeah, I hear. Yeah, so the masnisin betarti, brisa nami betarti. So if the Mishnah, again, we had a steerer from the brisa, right? So there's two things. You have our Mishnah, and then you had a brisa that there seems to be saying the same thing. So if the Mishnah is talking about two cases, brisa nami betarti, right? Then the brisa is also talking about two. Bishlam akadoi, right? What was the brisa? The brisa's case was, on the bottom of the Amid, what was the case again? Right, Nishbar Akadoi, his jug broke without water, and he didn't pick it up, or his camel fell, and he didn't pick up his camel. So now Gemara is going to try and figure out how that gets into a double machlokes. So when the sneezing, the Bryce and now the Bryce is only about two. Right. So if you break your jug, that you can find that it damages right when it falls, or afterwards. What about a camel that falls? After it falls, then you can find it. The camel fell, it died, and he's mafker the nevel. Right? But what does it mean that it slipped and then it damaged right then and there? Right? Meaning, the way Rashi says it, an animal can fall down. Animals are prone to falling down. I'm assuming that's what he means. Meaning, if your behemoth falls down, what is the owner supposed to do about it? Ishlam is an animal falls down and he dies and you don't clear it out or shisarab. Okay, you did something wrong, but your animal fell and immediately after that somebody trips on your animal. So what were you supposed to do? Right? So Amar Rav Acha going to Avra b'Maya derech Sarasa Nahara. What it means is that the guy was walking with the animal. How do you say it? The on the side of the river, and the river bank was not overrun. Right? It was
high tide.
Sort of like high tide, yeah.
Overflowing.
Right. So that, but I don't think it's high tide is by an ocean. This is by a river. Right.
You're saying the banks of the river were overflowed.
Banks of the river overflowed. Right. So the shaila is that called a pshia? Why are you walking your animal there? Of course it's going to slip. It's not meant to go in the water. Right? So then I'm going to ask, well, what's the case? If there's another way to take the animal, so yitaka pesheya, right? So of course you're going to be chayiv for the damages. Be the leka darka achrina. If you don't have any other way, anasu, so you're an inus, right? This comes up a lot. If this wasn't Friday, we could discuss. This comes up. Darka achrina is like if you have to go to a place that has pritzas, right? People ask the question all the time: can they go to a mixed gym? Right? Well, what happens? You're going to see pizzas there. So you say, well, I don't know if there's going to be pizzas there. So, but the assumption is that there's pizzas there. So, is there a darka achrina or not? Do you have another way to go? Meaning, you go to, let's say, you have to go to work, right? See, a lot of times you go to work in Manhattan. There's a lot of pizzas. Are you allowed to go? So, if there's darka achrina, so then no. But if there isn't darka achrina, so then maybe you would be able. I mean, then it's more mutter, right? It's the same.
So which is worse, getting a Zoom instrument or going to Manhattan?
Good question, Tak. It's a good question. Is darka achrina or not? Do you have another way of the right? Yeah. You go to the Phoenix, right, for Shabbos. So you're gonna see pizzas in the airport. There's no question. It's not like walking around Farakaway and going to Sulitz and checking the air at 8 o'clock in the morning in Farakaway, and that's it, right? You're gonna see.
Yaakov, this goes back to your brother's argument about why he takes the private jet argument. You don't have that problem.
That's Taka, right? That's a good martial art. I have this fight with my brother Shalom whether you should take a private jet if you could afford it. Why should you see the pizzas if Yitaka could really afford it, right? I mean, if you're already going business class and this and that, so pay a few $1,000s. Well, you don't see any pizzas whatsoever, right? See, for me, there is no darka achrina. As I'm saying, you don't have a choice. What are you going to do, right?
You wear some shades.
Doesn't help, I tell you.
Yeah, then they can't see you looking.
For Ricky, it's all worth it.
About that. There you go.
And
Anyway.
Tzvi travels with 1 or 2 gabayim with his talus completely over his whole body, over his head, and he can't see anything, and they lead him by the hand.
Who is this?
From Tzvi Meyer Zilberberg.
Yeah, you're lucky if you have that. And what and the gabayim, put it out with them. They're like a darka achrina.
Right.
Yaakov, it's okay for them to be nechshol.
I guess if they would be nishal.
Aaron, where is that Gaba going to make as much money as he's making about being Reb Meir's Gaba? What else are you going to do for Parnasa?
I hear you. I hear you.
Okay, come on.
Yeah. But okay, whatever it is, but that's what darka achrina comes in. Yeah, so anyway, so that can't be the case. So that's out. We're not talking about where it's on the riverbank. It's talking about where he tripped, and then Mamela, another three stooges. He tripped, and then his camel tripped on him. Right? So Mamela, if Rameir holds that tripping is your own fault, so he's going to be chayiv. Rabbi Yehuda holds it's not his fault, so he's not going to be chayiv. So where it says mafkin zacha ma'im eschavenika. So now again we said that if you're the second machlokes is that if he's allowed to be mafkir his nechasim, then he's not going to be responsible, right? Yeah. So what kind of kavana is there? So Omar Rav Yosef and Mischaven Lischos Bachar Sel. He had in mind where he's going to be zoicha the pieces of the broken kli, right? Meaning, so it doesn't really mean he's going to be zoicha because he owned it, right? So Rashi says it means he's in his head he's not being mafker the pieces,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, but meaning he doesn't have in mind that he's going to retake it. I think that's what it means. I had a hard time understanding this.
well, he's not being mafkir, that's all.
Yeah, but if he's not being mafkir, so why isn't he responsible? No. Yeah, you're right. I think that's what it means. He had kavana to if he had kavana, I'm sorry, right? What's the lashon of Rabbi Yehuda? This I think what it means. Rabbi Yehuda says if he has kavana, he's responsible. If he doesn't have kavana, he's not responsible. So kavana means he had kavana in order to recon it, right? And if he didn't have kavana to recon it, then it's going to be potter. That's what it means. Says he had kavana to take the pieces. Rabbi Lazar Amar, I'm sorry, that's it. So that's the end of the first pshat. There's two machloikes in here, and that's it. Fine. Rabbi Lazar Omer is the second pshat. B'shas nefila machloikes. The machloikes is b'shas nefila. If it damages b'shas nefila. So the Gemara says aval achar nefila mai. So Rabbi Lazar says they're arguing in one argument, not two arguments. And the argument is if it does damage b'shas nefila. B'lach nefila, what's the case? Divrei hakol potter. So everybody holds that it's potter. What is it? Rameir holds that you're chayiv afterwards. You for sure chayiv. Elamai divrei hakol chayiv. So right. So what are you gonna have to say? That everybody holds if after it fell and it's sitting in the street and then it damages, everybody holds it's chayiv. But then ha'ikar rabbanan depachi. But we know that the rabbanan say potter there, right? Meaning if you made it hefker. So one answers Elamai b'shas nefila, af b'shas nefila. So what Rabbi Lazar meant is when it fell, even when it fell. The Kamash Malon kid Abaya, and Rabbi Lazar is essentially saying the same teretz as Abaya, which is hard to understand. So you said your own teretz, and ends up being that your teretz is the same exact teretz as Abaya, right? That there's two machloks in here. Okay, let's see. Rabbi Yochanan Talmud Beis. Rabbi Yochanan Amar la'achar nefila, third teretz. The machlokes is after it fell. Right? Okay. Meaning there's only one machlokes and after it fell. Okay, so we have to figure out what's going on b'shas nefila. I was b'shas nefila mai. What's going to be the din b'shas nefila? Divrei hakol potter. Everybody says potter. Right? If it says weiter, don't say that the Mishnah, meaning the Mishnah later, is talking about where somebody tripped on somebody else. So Rabbi Yochanan said, don't say the Mishnah is Dafka Rameir who holds that it's Pshia to trip. The Amar Nisko Pishayahu, the Cloud Rameir Chayev. So you see the Rameir holds it's Chayev, right? After the meaning when it actually falls, he holds it's Chayev. So Elamai Divrei Hakol Chayev must be that everybody holds that you're Chayev b'shas nefila. That can't be either. He says, don't say the Mishnah is Rameir. The Amar Nisko Pishayahu. That means that somebody disagrees with him. Mechlal the patri rabbanon. That means the rabbanon hold his pater. Hello, Kamash Malon. The mafkir nezako the hacho hu the patri rabbanon. What's telling you is here when the guy is mafkir is nechasim. That's where the rabbanon say your pater. The onesu because he was an einus. Our mafkir nezako the alma mechayev. Oh, so now it's a big caveat here. Now he's saying that if somebody's utensils broken or shusarabim, and he decides to make them hefker, that works. But a stama guy decides that instead of going to the dump, he's just going to throw his kalim into Rosh Hashanah and make them hefker. That doesn't go, and you're going to be responsible. Right? Now the Gemara goes on that for the rest of the Amid. So itma, mafkir nizak. If a guy is stam, takes his damages and he's mafkir them. Yeah? Meaning he puts it in the street, the dafka, and then makes it hefker. So Rabbi Yochanan Rabbi Lazar, Chad Amar Chayev, Chad Amar Potter. One says Chayev, one says Potter. Lema man de Mechayev K'Rameir, Uman de Potter K'Rabbanan. Okay, so we just said that that's the machlokes of Rameir and Rabbanan. So Rameir and the Rameir and the Rabbanan. So why don't we say that that's the same machlokes? So when it answers, I'll leave it to Rameir Kuli Amaloi Pligi. There's no machlokes going to Rameir. Keep Pligi, right? Meaning, Rameir holds that the guy is going to be chayiv even if he makes it hefker. Right? So, keep ligi, I'll leave it to Rabbanan. The whole machlokes is going to Rabbanan. Man de potter Rabbanan. The one who says he's potter is allowed Rabbanan. Or man de mechayiv, and the one who says chayiv, Amalach will tell you, I know Amri Afilu Rabbanan. I can even go according to Rabbanan. Could add kan like potter Rabbanan and mafkir nizak of the hacha. Right? He's only where he was mafkir is the nizak of here. Because he's an einus. But if he's mafkir his nechasim stam in the veld, and he just decides to put it into the street and make it hefker, then he's going to be chayiv. Okay, so we have machlokes, Rabbi Lazar and Rabbi Yochanan And we wanted to say it's like the machlokes Tanoim or Ramei and the Rabbanon, but the Gemara says it's not. Fine. But now, this time, the Rebbe Lazar, who the Amar Chayev, the Gemara says, let's say it's Rebbe Lazar who says that if you put your belongings into Rosh Hashanah, you're Chayev. Amar Rebbe Lazar, Mishum Rabbi Shmuel, Shnei Dvarim Einem B'Rishus Hashanah, Asana Kasav Kilu Hem B'Rishus. We had this in Pesachim. There's two things that don't belong to a person, meaning they're hefker, and the pasuk made it as if it's in the Rishus. Eluhein bar Rishus Harabim. If a guy digs a bar Rishus Harabim, so it's Rishus Harabim, it's hefker, it doesn't belong to anybody, but the Torah made it that it's his, in order for him to be chayiv. The chametz m'sheishayis salamala, and chametz from 6 hours and on, right? So chametz 6 hours and on is also bahana. So really, it shouldn't be yours, but the Torah makes it as if it is yours. So to start, so you see, Rebbe Lazar holds at a bar Rishus Harabim, you're chayiv, right? So memela, that's it. That's who it must be. He holds that you see when you, even if you have something hefker, you can still be chayiv for it. So I'm going to ask me, Rebbe Lazar, did Rebbe Lazar really say this? Rebbe Lazar, Ifcha, he said the opposite. Right? The next Mishnah, somebody who's taking manure and he's flipping it in Rosh Hashanah. And then somebody comes and gets damaged by this guy putting the manure into Rosh Hashanah. Chayiv and Niska. He's chayiv in the damage that he caused. That's only talking about where the guy had kavanah to be zoiche in the manure. But if he didn't have kavanah, so then potter is potter. Alma mafkin is potter. You see that Rebbe Lazar says that if he didn't have kavanah to be zoiche in it, so you see if a guy's mafkin is in the zakah, he's potter. So where he took the manure, moved it in the Rosh Hashanah, and then moved it right back. So he really didn't do anything. Rav Avda's teretz that he moved the manure right back. What is it similar to? Let's say a guy sees a bar Rosh Hashanah that's open. He goes and he closes it, and then he opens it again. Right? So did he make the bar? No. Temporarily, he fixed the bar. But then and he did it again. He opened it again. So he didn't make the bar. There, his Meiserishon he didn't move away from his first Meiser. Here, his first Meiser was removed, meaning by the bar was sitting there. You put a cover on it and then you took it back off. You're not going to be chayav. But here, by the manure, you moved it back and forth. So it's a new Meiser. What would it be similar to? It's only similar to bar megula u'betamama. If you found a bar that was open and you filled it in, the chazar, the chafra, and then you dug it again, the stakulu ma'aserisha. Now the first ma'aser is gone. The kaimel b'rishusa, and it is in his rishus. So therefore, it's not a comparison. Rashi says it's talking about where he moved the manure less than 3, so there was no kinyan. Why did Rebbe Lazar have to say that? He told me we flipped about less than 3 the time of the finis chavan l'slizba, and the whole reason is because you wouldn't give him the chavan to be zoiche in it. Ha'ein masam l'slizba aloi, but if he wasn't zoiche in the manure, there'd be no problem. Look malamayla megimel. Let him say that's talking about where he picked up the manure higher than 3. Even if he didn't have kavanah to be zoiche in it, he's chayiv, because the bottom line is he was zoiche in it. So why do you have to say it like that? So the reason why he had to say it that it's less than 3 is he had a kasha in the terminology of the Mishnah. Why did the Mishnah say he flipped up? He was flipping manure. Listen, why didn't it just say he picked up the manure? Must be the reason for use the terminology of hafach is because it's less than 3. Right? How much time do we have? We don't really have time now, right? Yeah.
Can't find it right now, Tiago.
All right. Okay. We'll stop over here. Sorry. It's a little longer daf than I thought. I don't know. I thought it was shorter. Yeah. Okay. Have a good Shabbos. So we're going to say some film. I guess I should say